Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mix Social Performance Live Seminar, a guided session for MFIs on Mix's new desk review process. We're just happy to have you all joining us today. Again, my name is Mariela Janik, and I will be your moderator for the webinar. I hope that everyone has had a chance to review the instructions for our audio and chat on the screen in front of you. If you haven't, just take a quick minute now to do so. I'd like to remind you all that this webinar is being recorded, and it will become available later after the webinar, so everyone will get a chance to review it if for any reason you have to step off. Also, all participants are muted for the webinar. So again, if you have any questions, you'll have to submit via chat, and please be sure to chat them to me, the moderator, Mariela Janik. You can also delete the volume box in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Mix's Analysis and Data Management Lead of Social Performance, Michael Krell.
It's Michael Krell, and I am the Analysis and Data Management Lead for Social Performance at Mix. Welcome to today's webinar on Mix's new SP Desk Review process. This webinar, open to all MFIs around the world, has been organized to familiarize you with our SP Desk Review process, why it's been created, how you can participate, and tools are available on our website to help you. I just want to briefly go through the agenda for the presentation. First, I'm going to give a short intro to Mix for those of you who are not familiar with us. Then I'm going to a little bit about what social performance management is, the Social Performance Task Force's universal standards on social performance management, and the alignment between those and Mix's social performance indicators. And then we'll dive into the Mix SP Desk Review process, and I'm going to go step by step through that with you. And then I give you a little demonstration of some of the stuff you can do on our website, SP profile data, and a little bit about some of the upcoming SP publications and our new reporting platform that we're going to be debuting at the beginning of next year, Mix Report Express. And then we'll get to some questions from the audience. Okay, so here we go. First of all, like I said, I'd like to begin with a brief introduction to Mix. Mix's mission is to strengthen financial inclusion and the microfinance sector by promoting transparency. To its goal, Mix works with MFIs, networks, donors, investors, rating agencies, and researchers. We serve various stakeholders by providing data and insight for investment decisions, analysis, and forecasts. Since 2002, Mix has been collecting financial data from more than 2,100 MFIs around the world. Further, since 2008, Mix has been collecting social performance data as well, which is what we'll be focusing on today. Just a sense of our current outreach, there are already more than 1,050 MFIs with qualitative social performance information on Mix Market. We call that type of information social performance profile information. And you'll be hearing me use that term quite a bit during this presentation. I hope that soon every MFI with financial information on Mix will have SP profile information as well. The information that's found on our website can be classified into four main categories. First of all, there are financial data, which are the core of our operations. If you get reported your 2012 fiscal data, please contact your regional analyst so that we can update your Mix Market profile. If you don't know who your regional analyst is, I'll show you how to find him or her towards the end of this presentation. We have a financial inclusion program that has already developed financial inclusion maps for 9 countries around the world, as well as several regions and 1 sub-region. Mix periodically publishes original analysis pieces using the data on our website. I'll be putting a snapshot of 4 upcoming social performance analysis pieces at the end of this presentation. These presentations will be available on www.themix.org. Be sure to visit our website to learn more about these exciting and original insights. At least, Mix collects data on 11 social performance, or SP for short, indicator categories. Today we're going to talk about how SP can be defined, the Social Performance Task Force, or SPTF, their universal standards on social performance management, and the SP Desk Review process, intended to increase the quality of Mix's social data. Performance management has been defined by the SPTF as the effective translation of an institution's mission into practice in line with accepted social values. It is about making an organization's social mission a reality, what that social mission is. For those who don't know, the SPTF consists of over 1,500 members from all over the world, with representatives from every microfinance stakeholder group: practitioners, donors, investors, associations, technical assistance providers, rating agencies, academics and researchers, regulators, and others. SP, this definition of SP is process-based, encouraging MFIs to take appropriate steps to reach their specific social goals, whatever they may be. In order to help MFIs implement good social performance management, the SPTF has elaborated 6 universal standards for social performance management. 11 SP indicator categories align with 5 out of 6 of these standards, namely: 1, define and monitor social goals; 2, ensure board management and employee commitment to social goals; 3, treat clients responsibly; 4, design products, services, delivery models, and channels that meet clients' needs and preferences; and treat employees responsibly. So our indicators also align with they also have indicators on environmental policies, which are not actually part of the universal standards. I'm currently working with the SPTF to finalize indicators covering the 6th standard as well, which is balancing financial and social performance. Indicators on this standard will begin to be collected next year. MICS's role in the industry, our data collection, and the SPTF's universal standards and how those align with our indicators. Now to move on to the core of today's training, the SP desk review process. This shows the basic flow of SP desk review. It will explain why we created this process, and then discuss the details of each of these 5 steps. SP desk review is intended to strengthen the quality of social data MICS collects. The next starting point to understanding the desk review process is understanding why we have created it. As I said earlier, for 10 years, MICS has been collecting financial data from MFIs. In most cases, this financial data is supported by financial audits. On the other hand, only a small part of SP data has been subjected to a level of third-party verification similar to financial audit. And now, that meant that MICS's data consumers could not put as much trust in our SP data as they could in the financial data found on the site. It was this lack of confidence that MICS created the desk review process, in which a third party, a MICS analyst or one of our network partners, ask MFIs for documents corroborating the social data they report. Slide just covers what the desk review process is and isn't. What it does is to verify the existence of policies, strategies, procedures, products, services, and measurements corresponding with the indicators that an MFI reports. What it does not do is verify the suitability of these products and services to clients' needs, the implementation of policies and procedures that exist on paper, or the accuracy of the data generated by an MFI's surveys or MIS reports. These things can only be assessed by on-the-ground due diligence, such as that carried out by raters, and is on the scope of our desk review process. The process is, of course, to actually report SP profile data to MICS in the first place. Many MFIs attending today's event already have an SP profile on MICS Market. Others don't. I'd like to just show briefly how to create or update your SP profile for those of you who haven't already, and you'll see that it's very easy. So the first thing you do is you go to that website that's on the screen, and I'm going to do that right now. So market.org/contribute data. On this website, scroll down to the profile update section. Here you'll find 2 alternative ways of submitting your SP profile data. The first and easiest way is to access the online profile editor by clicking here. Language at the top right. Your username and password. If not yet have a username and password or don't remember them, you contact your regional MICS analyst for this information. As with poor internet connectivity, you use the second option. So here on Review Data, and this is to download the Excel profile update form. And here we go. Languages, you'll see there it exists in many languages. And then to fill out social performance tab, MICS analyst. After an MFI MFI has reported SP profile data to MIX, we will get the MFI inviting it to participate in our desk review process. You need to note that even though having an SP profile is what triggers the desk review, the W collects documents on some quantitative information as well, collected as part of our annual data collection. In particular, enterprises finance, employment creation, and poverty measurements, if the MFI has reported any of those things. Once impacted, an MFI that wants to increase the level of confidence in its social data can submit documents corroborating the existence of the SP indicator that is reported. These documents are of two types, as you'll see on the screen. Type, external validating documents, which refer to things like social ratings, externally validated Cerise SPI social audits, micro-institutional ratings, campaign client protection certifications, and PPI certifications. If you look at these documents, you can find links to the websites of the organizations that provide them in MIX's Social Performance Resource Center, found at .org/social performance. I'll show you that real quick. That's here. And scroll down to learn more about social performance. You'll find links to a bunch of the organizations that offer these sorts of documents. You can also find a great list on the SPTF's website under the resources category. For our purposes, the main advantage of having one or more of these external validating documents is that they make the desk review process much quicker. However, there are also lots of benefits that have nothing to do with the desk review process. First, while almost every part of the desk review can also be completed with internal documents, MIX only accepts external validation of the Smart Campaign client protection principles for obvious reasons. MIX knows that many MFIs do not have externally validated documents of this kind and do not need them at all to participate in the SP desk review process. In some cases, you can submit what we refer to as internal supporting documents. These are like human resource policy documents, environmental policies, or loan collection forms. Words, documents that most MFIs already have on hand. I'd like to emphasize that MFIs can complete every part of the MIX SP desk review except the portion dealing with client protection using documents that should already exist within the institution, as I said. Thus, even if it seems like a lot at first, the desk review is actually quite quick for MFIs to complete. Now look at a concrete example of the sorts of documents that we're going to ask you to submit. So your MFI has reported MIX that the members of your board of directors have a formal committee that monitors SP, one of our two qualitative SP indicators on governance. And so you'll receive an email from MIX asking you to submit one of the following: a rating from no earlier than 2010, or an externally administered Cerise SPI. That SPI needs to be a version that is compatible with MIX's indicators, so the latest version, and you can find out more about that on Cerise's website. Or if you have any of these documents, you can also submit, instead you can submit board minutes from each meeting of the committee, or those aren't available, detailed information about the role and responsibilities of the board in monitoring social performance. Both the rating and the externally administered Cerise SPI are examples of what we've been calling external validating documents. They're prepared by a third party. And the board minutes are an internal document that an MFI with an SP committee will very likely already have. For your institution through this process, we created a document called the Desk Review Compendium. The link document will be sent to you in the email inviting your institution to submit documents for desk review. It can also be found on the Contribute Data page that I've been showing you. So that's on the Contribute Data page now, and if you just scroll a little bit more, you'll see this whole section on the SP document desk review. As you see, it exists in many languages. By clicking on the Social Performance Desk Review Toolkit, and then scrolling down and selecting the compendium, you'll get to the compendium. This is an important document because for each indicator that is subject to the SP desk review, the compendium presents concrete examples of documents that are acceptable for submission. Back to the indicator, the governance indicator we talked about before, if you go on to page 6 of the 7 of the compendium, you'll find a detailed description of the indicator itself, a list of acceptable desk review documents, and most importantly, as you can see, an example of an acceptable internal document already submitted by MFI to MIX. In this case, right here, board minutes. It has been designed to be a clear step-by-step guide, and MFIs have already used it to successfully complete the desk review process. In the desk review process is that MFI collects these documents and sends them to MIX, directly or through the support of one of our partnering networks. Once the documents have been reviewed, an SP analyst will most likely email you asking for some clarification. Depending on the institution, this back and forth communication usually lasts between 1 and 3 weeks. The SP analyst can also propose a Skype call to set the process. We're able to reply to your questions either by email or Skype and encourage MFIs to speak up about any doubts or concerns they may have. One byproduct of the desk review process is that some indicators an MFI may have reported be removed. Then, if the SP analyst finds that a certain product, policy, service, or measurement with the MFI does not correspond to MIX's definition of that specific data point. On the other hand, it could also be that some indicators are changed or added. Although not appear to be the case, such changes are always positive, both from the standpoint of the MFI and the standpoint of MIX. Let's look at a real-life example to see why. This summarizes the changes made to an actual MFI's SP data as a result of the desk review process. On the left side, we see the quantitative SP data, what we call SP results data, the MFI submitted as part of the annual MIX data collection. On the right side are changes made to the MFI's qualitative indicators, what we call SP profile data, as I've been saying. And in that case, 8 points were added and 2 were removed. These changes are actually positive, and they're one of the main reasons the desk review exists. First of all, an MFI might have misinterpreted a certain indicator. First, MIX asks for MFIs to report different types of non-financial services according to a particular typology. Our glossary, and I'll show you the glossary right now. So this exists in the profile as well as here in the profile update form. And there's one in the annual data collection form as well. So scrolling down to the part where it talks about non-financial services, you see you can find anything that's in blue, and you get into this big glossary explaining all the terms. So it's the definitions of various types of non-financial services, as I said. MFIs often make mistakes when reporting on, for example, enterprise services versus education services. The desk exists in large part to correct these sorts of interpretive errors. Back to the presentation now. Oops. The reason that these changes are positive is that an investor or donor interested in funding an MFI will usually double-check the existence of certain indicators as part of its due diligence process. It will leave a bad impression if the investor finds out that a report indicator doesn't correspond to an existing product, service, policy, or measurement. But it's important for the MFI to make sure that its public profile is accurate as possible. Lastly, these indicators are not only used by investors for business decisions, but also by researchers and MIX itself for analysis purposes. For example, to investigate the correlation between financial and social performance. The results of any of these analyses to be meaningful, the data upon which they are based must be as reliable as possible. The fourth step of the desk review process. Once the back and forth clarification is finished, the SP analyst will publish what we call a desk review summary on the MFI's public market profile. This summary identifies each indicator of the MFI, each SP indicator subject to review as either 1, not reported, which obviously means that the MFI didn't report the indicator. 2, documented, if the MFI submitted one of the requested corroborating documents which was accepted by our analysts or partners. And 3, self-reported. The MFI did not or could not submit such a document. If it's been documented, a link to the source document will be posted within the desk review summary if the MFI consents to publishing this document. The submitted document will remain confidential within MIX's internal database. For example, if an MFI submits its staff compensation policy but does not want to make this document public, they will still satisfy the requirements of the desk review and will not be penalized in any way. For this, when an MFI submits documents to MIX, it's important to specify which documents should be published and which should not. In addition to the desk review summary recognizing MFIs that have participated in the process, a dedicated mixed market page that lists all MFIs who've completed the desk review, and I'm going to show you that right now. Start from our page, go to Profiles and Reports, and then click on Is Mix's Data Self-Reported? See here a complete list of all the MFIs that have successfully completed the desk review so far, as well as links to their profiles and then links to the review summary that I was talking about. Let's look at an example of one of those. Barandina Microfinance, which is a Sri Lankan MFI that was the first to complete the 2013 desk review. See, for every indicator identified as documented, there's a link to the name. There's the name of the document that was provided, as well as a link to the document, such as their poverty outreach. When they gave us consent, we published the link like so. Did not want us to publish. Going down. Sorry. Here we go. Did not want us to publish its staff incentives policy, so we put the name of the document without any link and kept staff incentives document. It submits safely within our internal database. 25 MFIs that have completed the desk review process, and almost 100 more that are on their way to finishing. By the end of this year, we aim to desk review around 300 MFIs, or almost 1/3 of the institutions with SP profile data on mixed market. In the previous slide, I talked about the desk review summary. Recognition that every MFI participating in the desk review process receives regardless of the extent to which they're able to participate. On the other hand, some MFIs will receive an additional level of recognition, becoming a mixed star MFI. STAR stands for socially transparent and responsible. In order to become a star MFI, an institution must, 1, report at least one indicator for every category of the universal standards, as well as one for about its environmental policies. Also submit documents corroborating all SP indicators reported that are subject to review. For anyone interested in this recognition, you can do more about it by going once again to that Contribute Data page. I'll show you. Let me get out of here real quick. And further, so we're in the same exact spot, and right here you'll see the Mix 2013 Star MFI recognition fact sheet. This document details all STAR criteria, and my colleagues and I will be happy to go through it with you if you have any questions. A little, and see some of the things you can do with mixed market once you reported SP data to us. In displaying your SP profile data, it also allows you to benchmark your institution against your peers. For example, MFIs in your country or region, or with same legal status or age. You can do this benchmarking for much more than just SP profile data, but that's what I'm gonna focus on for this demonstration. So, in order to do this, first go to the site you see on your screen, reports.mixedmarket.org. I'm going to do that. Go to reports.mixedmarket.org and select your preferred language. So here we've got English. Next, click on MFI reports and select MFI. Use EKI as an example, which is an MFI from Bosnia, Herzegovina, that not only completed the SP desk review process, but was also awarded the STAR recognition. Choose from among many different report types. We're going to focus on social performance. Use the time range of interest, for instance, to the although the time doesn't actually matter for SP profile information, which is not time bound. Next, we decide what we want to compare to what we want to compare this institution. So, for example, we'll say that EKI wants to compare itself to other MFIs in Bosnia as to MFIs in the ECA region. Countries, Bosnia, that's a good, and then the region, Europe and Central Asia. And again, as an example, Lyft just wants to benchmark its range of products and services, in particular credit. So down past the results data, lead to range of products and services, and you can hide the credit product offering in order to see the components of credit products captured by Mix's indicators, And first column, the blue tick represents indicators that ECI actually offers. For instance, it offers any loans, but doesn't offer education loans. You'll see how many Bosnian MFIs that have reported SP profile data as mix offer those same products. And in the column, you compare ECI with the 195 MFIs from the entire ECA region that has SP profile on mixed market. The comparisons can be made by profit or legal status, scale, sustainability, age, and other categories. Before we do with a sneak peek of our upcoming SP research, I'd like to point out a few more resources available to you. If questions about the definition of a certain indicator, the GRI is available in the mixed profile update form as I showed you before. And there's also a glossary with financial and social quantitative terms at the end of the normal annual data collection Excel that I haven't actually shown you, but is on that same contribute data page. If you ask about the kind of documents you can submit to participate in the desk review process, you should check the compendium I also showed you. The option is to contact the mixed SP analyst. You can contact me or my colleague Armani Piarantosi or for more information about anything related to Mix's SP program. If you have reported to Mix, have submitted your annual data for fiscal year 2012, or need a username and password to create or update your SP profile information, then you can Mix the staff directory at the website that's here at the bottom of the screen. And a little bit, you'll see a list of regional analysts, and you can find the analyst who is in charge of your region and contact them. To conclude the section on social performance with a few words about upcoming pieces of Mix SP analysis. The first one will be about the relationship between social mission, funding, and performance. And we will investigate SP profile data, some financial performance results data, and funding structure data with a threefold aim. The first aim is to examine whether MFIs' stated missions correlate with differences in operations reflecting those missions. Second, we're going to attempt to determine whether the presence of social funders, actually we've already determined this, it's just we haven't published them yet. We determine whether the presence of social funders and or the volume of social funding affect the social orientation of an MFI. And the same piece of analysis will determine whether there's a business case for SPM, that if differences in SPM correlate with differences in financial performance. This paper on SP indicators will indicate the correlations between and among SP profile and results indicators. The goal is to determine whether these indicators move with each other in a meaningful way, whether certain indicators predict other related ones. The third piece will be about the state of practice of poverty measurement. This utilizes SP data from MFIs that measure poverty and combines this data with MFI interviews in order to determine what role poverty measurement plays in MFI operations, how and when these benefit MFIs and clients. But not least, we are currently in collaboration with Women's World Banking on a publication on gender metrics. We conducted a survey at the beginning of October collecting various indicators related to gender from MFIs, as well as information on their ease of collection and usefulness, and 100 MFIs replied. The findings will be integrated with the gender-related indicators already collected by Mix and presented next month at the Women's World Banking Conference entitled Women-Focused Finance in Jordan. The conference is in Jordan. This presentation, I want to very briefly about an exciting new solution Mix is working on to streamline reporting on financial and social performance information with the Mix as well as to stakeholders such as funders and networks. See in front of you a sort of an image of today's system, where every stakeholder to which an MFI reports has their own data requirements and their own reporting process. The addition of reporting leads to waste for all involved and imposes a heavy burden on MFIs. With end-to-end reporting solution, these reporting requirements will be synthesized and unified into a single reporting interface called Mix Report Express, so that MFIs have a single place from which they can report to most, if not all, of their stakeholders. And where funders or networks are already partnered with Mix or will be in the future, MFI will be able to use Mix Report Express as a one-stop shop to fulfill all of your reporting requirements via a single platform. Moreover, Mix Report Express will be how all MFIs report to Mix Market on all of Mix's data sets from 2014 onwards. The native solution to reporting redundancy has been paid for by the MasterCard Foundation and our current Mix Gold clients, allowing MFIs to begin using Mix Report Express at no cost. For upcoming announcements and trainings about the launch of Mix Report Express, so the MFI can begin using it as soon as it becomes available. On all of the points that I wanted to share with you today, and open the floor to your questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Mike. And just like Mike mentioned, please, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to just chat them in, myself, Mary, and also if you're joining us on Twitter, feel free to also post any question comments there. Use hashtag #MixDeskReview. Let's see, Mike. I've got a question here about the benefits. What are the benefits of participating in the desk review process for MFIs?
So I outlined those a little bit before. Sorry about that echo. We just took care of it. So the benefits for MFIs, there are a few. For one, of course, you're basically broadcasting your heightened level of transparency on the social side. There's also the everything that goes along with sort of reporting on and going through the process of ensuring that your own indicators are in order, etc. But I think probably the biggest benefit is in terms of visibility. As I showed you before, MFIs who participate in this process are listed on a special where is it? I had it. One minute. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. A special page. And investors and funders and most of the people who use our website, the vast majority of social data out there is self-report, so it's not very reliable. By participating in this process, institutions signal to investors that their data is more reliable than simply being self-reported. It's at least been reviewed off-site by a third party, and that they know that there's a special place they can go to find MFIs who have who have increased level of confidence in their social data. So there's a lot of there's some great visibility for MFIs here. There's also let me just show you real quick. These desk review summaries are also posted on the SP profiles, or I'm sorry, on the MFI profiles themselves in the certifications column. And so that that's a level of recognition that every MFI who puts in this process achieves. Also, for select MFIs who are able to complete all the STAR requirements, also their certificate, which is mailed to them. They can put it on put it up in their office, but also it is posted as well on their public profile. So those are sort of in a nutshell the biggest benefits to MFIs of the SP desk review.
Okay, great. I've got a couple of other questions here. One asking if the desk review is a prerequisite for our certificate. In other words, if I doesn't get their certificate, they have to go through the desk review. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Sure. Okay. So the STAR certificate, and we call it. We didn't talk about it as a recognition, the STAR recognition, because it's not really a certification in the way that our campaign certification or something like that is. The STAR MFI recognition is really linked to the desk review. It's basically an added level of recognition for MFIs who not only are able to provide corroborating documentation for all of the indicators they've reported that are subject to review, but also have a sort of minimum level of compliance with the SPTF's universal standard. So it's sort of somewhere between an award for good SPM and an award for transparency in SPM. But the short answer is it is connected to the desk review process, and that is the beginning of becoming a mixed STAR MFI.
thanks. And then another question, will participating in the desk review, will any effect on the MFI?
No, it's, as of right now, we have plans at one point to include, any data levels of completion and desk review in the Diamond system, but the Diamonds are not at all tied to SP data as of right now, and as far as I know, there aren't any plans to tie them to that. For those of you who don't know, MIX's Diamonds are a annual way of, MFIs get Diamonds for each year, and it basically, on the financial side, it signifies the level of transparency that MFI attained for that year, and connected to things like reporting completely, providing audits to be published on Mix Market, having a rating, sort of thing. Those do not have any connection to the star. So I know that's a little confusing because one's a diamond and one's a star, but there is no connection.
More questions coming in, really good questions. One for you, Mike. So, some people who are brand new to social performance management and they're hearing about the desk review process for the first time, and it seems like a lot of information, and I'm sure people might feel overwhelmed because it's a lot. So I was wondering, like, how do I get started on this? Where do we start?
That's a great question. So, there's a couple different places that people do start. I think if you're just getting started on social performance management at all, I think really, the desk review is not really what you should be worried about. Or what you should think about first. The best place to go is to the SPTF's Universal Standards and begin there. So on the sptf.info, you can go to the Universal Standards for SPM, and hang on. Okay. Okay. In any case, you should be able to get all sorts of information on the Universal Standards from the SPTF's website. So that's the place to start. And then, once you've, and also in terms of content, I always recommend client protection as sort of the core of good social performance. And that's a good place to start, is to start looking at the Smart Campaign client protection principles, et cetera, et cetera. Once you've sort of created a plan and begun to evaluate your MFI's strengths and weaknesses, then you want to also make sure that you're reporting to Mix, simply reporting on our indicators to begin with, in the first place. So, you can do that by, some of the indicators are included in the annual data submission form that MFIs complete a year, and bulk of the SP indicators are contained in the profile, either the profile editor or the profile update form. So, there you want to get started if you're new to SPM. Once reported on SP indicators, then, I think you also might want to, then it's time to think about the desk review. But the desk review is really a later step after you've formed an SPM plan about what exactly your institution wants to focus on. You've reported to Mix on those indicators. That's where the desk review comes in.
Might an MFI be recognized for other social indicators in the desk review that are not necessarily covered in the Mix SP indicator normally collected?
I don't know. The desk review, the answer is no. The desk review only collects documents related to the SP indicators that we collect. So it's really tied to those indicators. There's nothing beyond it. It doesn't reach beyond the scope of those in any way. It does reach, our indicators do reach sort of beyond the scope of the standards a little bit, in that we have indicators on environmental policies. There's nothing in the desk review that covers indicators that are not normally collected by Mix.
And we have a question about the obstacles and maybe some hurdles for this process. We highlighted kind of desk review, work, what the approach is. wondering kind of what are some of the challenges to this process, and will it really make a difference?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of challenges. I think there's sort of a couple ways of looking at the question of obstacles and challenges. Probably at the moment, the big obstacle we're running into is just lack of understanding of what the process is. And that's one of the reasons we're having this webinar. And really, there's a sort of barrier, I think, in people's minds when they look at the supporting documents and they see this big long compendium, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. We've actually done a lot of research. We've done a lot of we talked to a lot of MFIs and other stakeholders. We've investigated investor due diligence processes, and we really tailored the desk review to make maximum use of documents that MFIs already have. So, it looks like a lot as you go through, and especially if your MFI has reported a certain indicator and they're just being documents related to that. We've really, I think, done a good job of asking for documents that an MFI will already have if a particular indicator in place. So it's very deceptive, the level of effort involved. And bigger obstacles, I think the reason, there's a gap in social data in the industry that this desk review process is intended to address, and that's the gap between third-party, on-the-ground, verified documentation of MF processes and outcomes, and purely self-reported data. So, every MFI, in an ideal world, every MFI would have a social rating, but that's just not the case, and it's probably not going to be the case for a very long time. So, to shrink this gap between the majority of SP data and the minority that has been rigorously documented and verified on site, that's the challenge that the desk review process is meant to address.
Great. Next is a question that maybe from the investor and maybe the funder perspective. When we were planning and trying to figure out the desk review, how did we take into consideration that group of people?
Can you say that again?
So when we were creating the desk review process, how did we consider investors and funders in this process and what they're involved in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we had a lot of conversations with investors and funders on their due diligence procedures and what sort of documents are they look for and they ask for, and that's where a lot of our desk review requirements came from. So in collecting these documents and publishing them on Mix, investors and funders in theory, and we hope in practice eventually can come to Mix and get out of this stuff instead of the MFI and having them submit it again to them. There's also plans actually in the future to incorporate a private document library so MFIs can, within Mix Report Express, so that MFIs can even submit and post confidential documents which only investors that they've given permission to would have access to. So the role of funders and investors was really, or their sort of place in this process was a very high consideration in designing it. I'm seeing some questions here that Mariola has sent me through chat, and I'd like to just address one real quick. So, if there are any changes or additions planned in the SP standards. Standards, if by standards you mean the universal standards, as far as I know of, there are no changes planned. Those were the end result of a multi-year process of information gathering and input and sort of discussion. It was a very long and involved process. I don't know of any standards, any changes to the standards that are being planned, but there are definitely changes to the mix indicators that are planned as we align those more with the standards. So as I said in the presentation, we are planning to add some indicators related to balancing financial and social performance. Those are at the point of being piloted, I believe, at the moment. And, be on the lookout for that. In terms of, where can you get information on that? On the standards, the best place to go is always the SPTF website. Information on our indicators will be broadcast both on Facebook and Twitter, but also the announcements on our site. And if you haven't signed up for the Mix Dispatch, it's a great way to get information on these sorts of things, because we keep our dispatch community updated on all of the news happenings at Mix. So there's one more seeing here, which was a question on who does the reviewing and do you need certification? So the reviews themselves are by and large done by us here at Mix. Myself, or in most cases, my colleague Armenia, who has been doing the lion's share of the work and pretty almost all the work at this point. In some few cases, we do work with a lot of networks to collect these documents, but in only 2 cases so far have we actually authorized the network to do the review itself. Usually the reason that we would do that is, apart from sort of workload considerations, is simply because documents are going to be submitted in a local language that no one at Mix speaks.
Thinking of process and like how long it's going to take, as an MFI, or on you already have so much work to do. Desk review process. What is the time?
That's a question. I'm not the best person to answer that. We're actually planning on conducting a survey, doing some research on this after we've done the first year's worth of reviews to find out how long MFIs are spending. Anecdotally, I know that most MFIs' reaction to document collection and submission after we've explained it to them is sort of, oh, is that it? Okay, well, yeah, I already have all that. I think I don't know. I really don't know time estimates, because, as I said, we haven't actually researched that yet, because we're just starting the process. But the iterative back and forth of clarifying and removing indicators and adding indicators, as I said in the presentation, tends to take 1 to 3 weeks, depending on sort of the level of communication. It can be very, very quick, actually, if the MFI schedules a Skype call, which is our preferred method of working with MFIs on this. But I'd say you're not looking at more than 3 weeks worth of correspondence. But I couldn't really tell you how long it takes to gather the documents, because I don't have that information. As I said, we have really done everything in our power to make that as easy as possible. And it's even easier if you've already gotten a social rating or a PPI certification or something like that, because then you just send that to us and you're done.
Now, towards the end of the presentation, you mentioned Mix Report Express, which is a new platform way of reporting that Mix is going to implement. That's right around the corner. Can you tell us kind of what the linkage is between that and this desk review process?
Sure. So the idea behind Mix Report Express is to, as I was saying, to have it's a one-stop reporting shop, and MFIs are going to be using it to report on all of the data sets. So you won't be getting a request from your regional analyst and a request from an SP analyst and then already data measurement request later on in the year. The reporting platform, the common reporting platform, Mix Report Express, will be unifying all those requests into one sole platform. It'll also be and investors will also be giving us their particular reporting requirements for confidential reporting that will also be taking place through this reporting platform. And then there's be a little button where you can share whatever you want publicly as well. So it's really, this is a great invention for MFIs. It's all aimed at reducing the burden of reporting MFIs. And the desk review is going to fit into that as well. However, not at the initial rollout. So it's the platform, we're looking at launching it at the beginning of next year. Sometime in that, I don't want to give a time because I'm not sure of that. But at some point later in the year, we'll also be implementing a document upload function so that MFIs can also upload, the financial audits that they're sending to Mix Analysts right now, the financial ratings, and also social ratings and desk review documents. And they also have an option. They'll be able to select between the level of sort of the level of confidentiality they want to assign to these documents. Should this document that you've submitted only be available to your investors and to analysts, or should it be available to the public? So the reporting platform, Mix Report Express, is also going to be the place that you can submit SP desk review documents in the future. And that has a great, as I was saying before, that has a great overlap with funders who are using our Gold services, because then they can just go, this is going to, and raters even also, it's going to become a repository for all sorts of documentation on MFIs, so that if I won't need to get a request for the same document 10 times from 10 different parties.
Great. I think we're just about ready to wrap things up, but before we just two final questions. First, you could just recap quickly, like, if people want to say more about this process and get updates about it, what to do, and where should they find information?
Okay. Sure. First, for all the information about the SP desk review, the best place to go is our contributing data page, as I've been showing you, and scroll down to the SP Performance Document Desk Review section, which is a section, it's a document describing the methodology, all the resources in the toolkit. We've got an infographic that sort of tells why we've created this, the introductory presentation that takes you step by step through the process, and then we have this compendium that provides examples for every single indicator of documents, actual documents that MFIs have submitted that are acceptable for the review. In terms of learning about changes and announcements and that sort of thing, for all of this, not just for the desk review, the best thing to do is to go in here. Oh, actually, want to sign up for the
go scroll right to the home.
All right. Contact. And give us your name and email address. You can do that, or you can also, I saw subscribe link. Right here. You can subscribe to our, this is how you get our email updates, so you get a dispatch using our featured newsletter. And then that is where you'll find all sorts of announcements. So whenever there's any sort of update or change to the desk review process, that will be announced in the Mix dispatch.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're live tweeting it right now. The hashtag is Mix Desk Review. So we missed any of the highlights we came through throughout the presentation. They are all documented on our page. Always go back, and if you have any follow-up questions or comments, feel free to tweet about that.
And also, I do email me with any questions, or my colleague Armenia. We're always happy to guide people through any steps in the entire SP reporting apparatus at Mix.
Just to wrap everything up, I mean, like, you've now worked at Mix and have worked with social performance for how many years now? Yeah. As kind of read about this process, what do you think this means for just the finance sector as a whole?
Okay, really, it's a very big question. I think that I think it's really, personally, I'm very close to it, so I'm going to think it's very important. But I think it's a really great step, because it's a level of, it's an initiative to increase social data quality that's aimed at a mass level. So, not every MFI, and in fact, most MFIs can't, every MFI can get a social rating. Not every MFI is at the stage in their development where they can get a SMART certification. Not every MFI has the technical assistance providers in their area necessary to do something like get an SP audit. So this is a really great way of increasing the industry's social transparency and increasing the accuracy of our analyses of that industry. It's democratic. It's available to all. It doesn't cost anything, and it really has a lot of benefits for a wide variety of stakeholders, in particular, as I've been talking about throughout this process.
Mike, yeah, and I hope that everyone has enjoyed the presentation, has learned a lot, and has a idea of how the process works and how it can benefit all MFIs everywhere. So if Again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much, Mike, for the presentation. Reminder, if you register whether or not you attended, everyone is going to get a copy of the presentation and the recording, and we'll make sure to provide you with all the links for everything that was mentioned here in the webinar.
Great. Thank you so much, Mariola, and thank you all for attending. Please do, as I said, email me or get in touch with me if you have any questions.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.